What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, welcome to the channel. Thanks for rocking with me on another video. As you can see, got the Toyota back here, and it's up on jack stands because when I bought the crossover steering for this truck, I bought it used, and the guy that I bought it from told me he had it on his truck and it was in line and it was yada yada yada, it was good to go, it was ready, just throw it on and call it a day. This was also like, I don't know, 12 years ago or something, and this is a Marlin Crawler crossover steering setup. Again, when I first bought it, he told me he was ready to go, so I didn't even think about it. I just took him at his word because he knew what he was doing, you know, whatever. And I didn't put anti-seize on the rod ends or nothing. I just threw it on. Well, come to find out, it was towed in like half inch, and has been getting horrendous death wobble. Anything over like 30 miles an hour, and it is very angry. So I've been dealing with it for a couple years because I never planned on driving this truck a long distance, you know, like around town, and our local highway, the speed limit's only 40 miles an hour, so it wasn't that big of a deal. But I'm tired of it. I just put that new motor in, and I want to be able to drive this thing somewhere. So last weekend, 2 weekends ago, I went to adjust the steering, and everything went south so fast. Like, I took the tie rod completely apart, and I had my torches, and I had it red hot, and it wouldn't move. Like, I had a 24-inch pipe wrench holding it on the ground, and I had a 24-inch pipe wrench on the tie rod with a 4-foot cheater pipe, and it would move barely, and I should have known to just stop while I was ahead, but it come out about 1/4 of an inch, and then I stopped to go eat, and I shouldn't have, because all that did was like weld it together. But I come back out after lunch, and I'll put a picture in right here somewhere. It went catastrophic. Let's show you what happened. You can see I completely destroyed this whole tube, but it's snapped off right there. Where it is, it's not going to move either direction. It won't go in, it won't come out. And I just pretty much that day took my welder and just welded it back together just so I could get the truck out of basically the driveway where it sits, and ordered a new one. Old and busted, new hotness. This time, however, I'm going to be smart enough to put anti-seize on everything before I put it together. Okay, we're back. Now, gotta make sure not to lose my damn cotter pins. I threaded these in just so I could bring it all outside in one package, you know. Thought it made more sense that way. That's going in. Should probably focus on what I'm doing instead of camera. Anyway, these things are all damn day long. That's good though, because it gives you a ton of adjustment. As far as anti-seize goes, they say it doesn't take much, but after the shit show I dealt with a few weekends ago, now granted, I'm not going to put a ton on this thing, but I am going to put enough on here that it obviously doesn't seize, because that was a disaster. Now, if you can get this out of the can and on your parts without wearing it, You're a lot better than most. Because it's, this shit is like a plague. Once you come in contact with it, it ends up all over everything, and you have no idea. Son of a bitch, you have no idea how any of it happened. So, you need to be careful. See how it's starting to pile up on the outside of that nut already? This is when it goes sideways. Now, I probably should have been smart enough to look into this and make sure that these tie rod ends are going to fit in my knuckles and stuff, but I'm not a very smart person when it comes to shit like that. So we're just going to say they're going to fit and send it and hope that I'm right. God. Stupid magnetic paper towel holders. Okay, I would say it's sufficiently covered. My threads on this boy. Now, this notch right here signifies this is the left-hand thread, and there's an L on the outside of this tie rod. That way, when you get this installed, because if you have two left-hand threads or two right-hand threads, you have to undo it from one side or the other every single time you want to adjust it. But with it being set like this, you can leave it installed in the knuckle and just thread the link, and it'll pull your left side in, your right side in, because they're obviously opposite from each other. You have to do the same thing all over again. I really shouldn't have put these jam nuts on here when I put it together, but again, not smart. Seeing if you don't get it off immediately, it spreads, and then it's on your face, it's in your beard, it's everywhere. Take care of it before it becomes a problem. Now, we got to take the tires off. It's already up on jack stands and stuff, but we got to take the tires off now, and I'll put you up on a smaller tripod for that. This is pretty much the same on both sides, so I'm only going to do one side on camera. Get you some wire cutters, needle nose pliers, or whatever you prefer. I prefer wire cutters, just because if you can't get them to move, you can just cut them off. Now this is where the argument ensues between a lot of car guys, because as you can see, I beat on the outside of the knuckle a little bit, and then if that doesn't work, I have a pickle fork that'll spread it. But you can wrap right here on the side of the tie rod, you can wrap on the knuckle, you can take your castle nut and flip it upside down and thread it back on there, a few threads, and then wrap on the bottom of the nut. But if you do this, make sure you thread it up far enough that the bottom of your bolt and the bottom of your nut are the same, they're like flush, because if not, you're going to mushroom the hell out of the bottom of this nut, and it's not going to go back in there. So whatever your preferred method is, or whichever method you decide to try, go for that. But I'm going to just grab my hammer and give it a good whack right here, because I'm replacing it anyway. Now we're in business. There we go. Take and thread that, and that boy's ready to come out. Now, obviously none of this is salvageable. This whole link will come off. The one on the passenger side actually will thread in and out, so I'm going to try to get that one all the way out, but that's going to be the only part of this entire drag link I plan on keeping. And these. I'm not taking the drag link off, because I don't need to. But I am keeping this. Now, since I seized the shit out of this side and beat the hell out of it, this side does turn, and I had to turn it in so far I had to take the jam nut off of it, but I knew I wasn't driving it, so it wasn't a big deal. But don't ever do this. Don't run rod ends or heim joints without a jam nut. Well, drag link, let's get her put back in, huh? Also, I don't know if this has any significance, but this notch I told you about, that's the left hand thread, I'm going to put on the left side of the truck. Just because, you know, OCD is real also. Pay attention when you tighten down tie rod ends. Everybody will tell you differently, but I don't like to go all the way tight and then, you know, like keep tightening to force the cotter pin through. I go until they're tight, and if it's closer to the last hole than the next hole, I'll back it off just a hair. It's not that big of a deal, but again, everybody will tell you something different. There's a bunch of different ways to skin the same cat, so find what works for you. Pay attention to where your hole is. See that right there is tight, and I was closer to the next one, so that's it. So, like I was saying about cotter pins, everybody has their own method of doing cotter pins, and everybody's going to tell you this is the right way, that's the wrong way. At the end of the day, as long as it's through the bolt, who gives a shit? So I take the longer one and I just fold it underneath the nut like that, and I leave just a little bit of a tail. That way, if I go to take this out and it's like stuck, I have a little bit of a tail I can smack on or whatever. But that's it. That's how I do them. Alright, now it's time to align this thing. And I know there's, I don't know, 5-6 different ways you can do this. You can take it to a shop, you can put the tires on, find the center, use a tape measure. But the tire thing, I don't like it. It's a lot of unnecessary shit that you shouldn't have to do. So this is what I do. These are slotted out wide enough for everything I own. So everything from the 5-on-4.5 that my Jeep is to the 8-on-6.5 that my Cummins has. I know the cuts look like shit, but leave me alone. My plasma cutter doesn't go this thick. Anyway, just notch it in the center to clear a hub. Make sure they're both the same length. Cut the ends. This is where you're going to measure from. So I took and went from the center out. I think these are like 19 inches on each side. That way, if I go to run up to like a 38-inch tire, I can still have a perfect alignment. But they just go on a couple of the studs. And then they stop against my caliper. On both sides, I know I'm dead even. I'm gonna grab the tape measure and make sure that I'm centered. Then I'll retighten all the lug nuts and we'll start the alignment. Okay, let's see how bad we're off. There. I got 57 and 3/8. Nope, 3/16. And up here, right to the center of this, I'm like 56 and 1/8. So I got to go way out. But that's where this comes in handy. You know what? Let me get you a better view of this. That way you guys can understand what I'm saying. Okay, you can see right here that it's 56 1/4. You just spin your rod end. You just watch it move. Okay. Now I'll stop at 56 1/2, and I'll go measure the backside. Back here I'm 57 exactly, which means this needs to be another 1/4 of an inch. So let's go to 56 3/4 on the money, right? 56 3/4 to the inside. And back here. Here, let's get you back here so you can see it to believe it. Okay. I said it's 56 3/4. Now, just take your jam nuts and run them in. And I'll grab a wrench and I'll get it tightened up both ways. Okay, there you have her, guys. Flat. That one over there, same way, flat across the top. Both jam nuts are locked in, all the cotter pins are good. Oh shit, we gotta turn this off. Hold on, I don't want to get copyrighted. Well, I need to adjust the steering box a little bit, but it's better than it was before. I just need to pull the pivot arm over a little bit. That's not a big deal. But we're headed for the highway, and I'll be back when we get there. Anybody, any of you low range OGs remember these things? With a lock and hub though? That's one of my favorite parts of the whole truck. Okay, I apologize in advance. It is, it's a noisy truck, but check this out. 55. This truck ain't seen 5th gear in about 5 years. Hands off. I have to pull until I got a low tire. I think I fixed the death wobble, guys. Now I gotta go back home and fix the damn drag link so my steering wheel straightens out. But I'm incredibly happy with this stuff. I don't know how well this is going to work, but we're going to try it anyway. let's have a look, yeah? Now, clearly, I need longer shocks because I ran out of shock before I ran out of shackle. These things aren't even open yet. But it looks pretty damn good. Same thing here though. Look, my shackle's not even, she's barely starting to open now. And my shocks are done. Now for reference, this is about 3.5 foot tall, possibly 4. I haven't actually brought a tape measure or nothing yet, but walked right up on it like it was nothing. Now we can stop screwing around out here in the middle of nowhere and get back home. This is one of the other things I wanted to get done today. I'm probably not going to be able to get it all wired in, but I'm hoping to at least have it mounted. This was the very first air compressor I ever owned for air ride. I know it looks like shit, but it still works pretty well. Same with this. Same. First tank I ever had. Both of these came in a project. I took that out. I started all over. I went to twin compressors and a bigger tank and all that fancy shit. So this has just been sitting in my shop ever since then. For like 6 years now. Something like that. And I need to make it fit in here somewhere. But these I need to take out. I need to basically just snap the bolts off and drop them. And my plan is to mount the tank right there in between those two bed supports. And then the compressor I'll probably mount up there somewhere between the shock support and that bed support. Well, ain't nothing to it but to do it, boys. Let's get to it. Hey, brackets are off. That was fun. Now, I need to figure out where this thing is going to fit the best. I'm thinking right there. Obviously, find center. So 1, 2, 3, 4. In from the frame. There. Probably going to be about the best place for it to sit. So, now, if you're OG to the channel, I did a bunch of work to this thing. I still haven't replaced my springs. But I have too much shock showing anyway. So I need to buy shocks and springs for this thing. It's on the list. The list for the shit that this truck needs is growing longer by the day. Like every time I get one thing done, something else just pops up on the list and replaces it. Like my tie job for my proportioning valve. Tell you what, I know a lot of people, like when they lift their Toyotas, they build these fancy little brackets here to extend up, and then they still don't stop worth the shit. So what I did here is pushed it all the way up as far as it would go. Basically, it's just telling the proportioning valve that basically the bed is full of weight, so it's pushing more fluid to the rear brakes instead of the front brakes. This thing stops pretty well. I gotta tell you, it's pretty not bad. Well, we've done the math. I've done the math. I don't know how well you can see these. There's one hole. There's the other hole. Same on this side. Spring-loaded punch. Step bit on an impact And hopefully I don't get something in my hole. Because trust me, you do not want to get metal in your goddamn eye. It sucks so bad. It's a 1-star situation. Would definitely not recommend. One. Come on, man. 2. One. Uh-oh. Where's my second one at? Right there. I love using these silver stencil pencils, but sometimes they're a pain in the ass because if you're not looking at them from the right angle, you can't see them. That's no bueno. I feel like I should probably drill a pilot hole, but I'm not doing that. I'm just gonna let her eat, see what happens. It's either gonna work or it ain't, you know? Now, I think I'm just gonna go, I don't know, up to like 7/16 hole. I don't know. I'm just gonna see what happens. Man, an impact driver is incredibly loud down here. I'm gonna finish these holes out and come back. Okay. She's mounted, fellas. Fellettes or whatever. I haven't put anything in these 2 ports yet because I don't know. Like this one, I'll probably have it come out somewhere over here and hook it to an air chuck so I could just pop an air line in right here. Or I might just plug it and use the top one for it, you know, take it out and go up, drill another hole up in the bed up there somewhere, put a surface mount chuck in there. Same thing on this side. I haven't decided yet. And I still need to figure out where the hell I'm going to mount that compressor. This was kind of a pain in the ass to do by myself. Hold it up and put the bolts in and all that shit. It was stupid. Now, because I'm already done with this project, now I want to work on that. Because that hanger right there isn't actually attached to the muffler. It's just the factory exhaust hanger. And it rattles like crazy every time I start it or shut it off. I don't like it. So I'm going to cut that one off. And I've got some exhaust pipe in the backyard. So I'm going to bring this out through a 90, just right out here, and dump it. There's nothing wrong with the way it is now. It sounds great. But I just want it to point out somewhere. So that's what we're going to do. I'm going to move the truck back a couple of feet and go in the backyard with the Sawzall and cut my exhaust up. Check this out. I'm tired of hearing that shit, so like I said, I'm going to pop a tailpipe on this and cut that thing completely off. Then I'll wire it from here down up to this one, just to kind of keep this down a little bit. We should be good to go. Seriously, I don't know what the hell is wrong with me, but this is where we're at. So this pipe's going to go up over the frame. This guy is going to go out through between bed mounts, and I'm going to drill a hole in the side of the bed. That way we're guaranteed to not smash the exhaust closed on something. Just the bedside instead. Alright guys, well, it's been a whole day working on this thing. I started 4 projects. I finished 1. Yeah, 1. But welcome to a day in my life. This is why I live in a constant state of unfinished projects. But that's the way she goes. What are you going to do, you know? This is why I have so many projects. I don't get bored of one. I just go work on something else. This is probably the most random video I've put out so far. But, you know, again, welcome to what it's like to hang out with me for a day. I work on all kinds of just side quests all day. So, what we did accomplish, we fixed the steering. No more death wobble. Centered the steering wheel. But that all counts as one thing, right? I cleaned out the shit box, swapped it out. Still haven't aired up my 33 yet, or my other spare tire yet, because I don't want to run my compressor yet. I'm, you know, lazy, whatever. But we did get the steering done. We got the air tank mounted, which is a kind of a big step. Still haven't figured out where we're going to put the compressor yet, but that day will come. I did get the tubing bent up, or not bent up, but cut up from another exhaust system, and it's pretty much ready to go. But what we're going to do is that circle right there, somewhere in that general area. I'm going to pop the hole. I'm going to pop the hole for the exhaust to come out. That way, it's guaranteed that I won't smash it. Well, it's less likely that I'll smash it. There's the rest of the exhaust pipe I had laying around. Anyway, thanks for sticking around to the end. I'm not sure how much of this you guys are actually going to see in the edit, but this has literally been about 6 hours worth of work. And I'm sure I have about an hour and a half of footage. But I'm going to cut it down as much as I can, because these videos do get kind of boring, you know. But, again, thanks for sticking with me, guys. Subscribe to the channel if you're not already. I think that's all I got for you. So, until next time, thank you for watching. I appreciate you spending your time with me today. And your dreams don't work unless you do. But hopefully you work a little bit smarter than me. Either way, get outside and tear something apart, guys.